everybody. I'm Juozas from Lithuania. I'm a APDA member. APDA is European Packaging Design Association. You're gonna see APDA in my slides, but I invite you to visit APDA booth. It is on the other side of this hall. It's called Innovation Arena, and there is a lot of interesting sustainable design projects and other projects, so I invite you to go there. Yeah, so this is the photo of APDA. It was taken 3 weeks ago in Warsaw. APDA members are going to the conferences 2 times per year, so it's really interesting and nice time together, exchanging things in packaging design arena. So please visit the booth. And today we're going to talk about sustainable needs versus customer experience. And what does it mean is that we talk about sustainability a lot, how to make more sustainable design, how to make more sustainable packaging in many different regards. It could be reusable, recyclable, uses less energy, and so on. But another topic is how we can communicate about it in a good way, or maybe there is a risk to greenwash as well, and how to be more transparent. And we're going to look to these things today. To introduce myself shortly, I'm from packaging development, small agency, small team. We only do structural design projects, work with unboxing experience, sustainability in consumer electronics, food, health and beauty, and these kinds of things. So yeah, so this is our map for today's speech. So in the first thing, we're going to try to connect consumer education with sustainability. And we're going to look to packaging and packaging waste regulation and green claims directive from a communication perspective. So first thing, how packaging and packaging waste regulation will change what we put on packaging and how we communicate about packaging. So first thing is that in the future, in the whole of Europe, labeling system will be unified because, as you know, for example, here in France, you have some mandatory symbols. In other countries, for example, you have no mandatory rules. In other countries, there is also like specifically written that this packaging is not recyclable. There is a lot of organizations now as a Recyclas or Resida, and they are developing the system, maybe which will be used in the future, to show, as on the food you have A, which is green, you have C, which is orange, and E, which is like unrecyclable. So in the future, customers will be able to see that this packaging is not recyclable. And as well with compostable packaging, there's a lot of discussions at the moment because some consumers in some countries, they do not understand what industrial composting means and home compostable, what's the differences between these two. So these things will need to be easily identified as well. And as well with reusable packaging, how it's going to affect reusable packaging. Companies will need to have QR codes and other education showing where's the nearest spot to give the packaging back. Also, how many cycles this packaging already passed, and what's the possibility, maybe 10 times, maybe 100, because this is 2 super different options. And there was a really funny thing with this packaging. One big company who are reselling clothes online introduced this packaging, and they said that this is reusable on the LinkedIn. And this packaging is great. It uses no plastic inside. It's from paper, but it's not recyclable packaging. It could be used once to send it to somebody, and then you have another stick-in to send it back. And it's not reusable packaging. And on the LinkedIn, there was a lot of people and packaging experts saying there already are reusable packaging concepts for e-commerce as that yellow thing. Why don't you use that? So people and experts are really skeptical as well. And a good example is, I think so this is a German startup, and they are collecting plastic, which is, you know, in the oceans or in the nature, and afterwards they're producing these bags, but the interesting thing about it is if you scan QR code, you can find out where the plastic comes from, who is collecting that, and who is manufacturing the bags, how many, CO2 is safe, and so on. So this is a good example of this thing. And also with Green Claims Directive, the problem today, for example, European Commission examined that more than a half claims are misleading about sustainability. Not about packaging sustainability, but about packaging, product sustainability, services sustainability. They are misleading at the moment. And with packaging, just some of the examples, some companies are just writing things for like an environmentally friendly, sustainable packaging, green choice, and they are not saying anything about it. I mean, they're not proving that, they're not putting any information behind that, and this thing will change. You won't be able just to put, anything you want, and then have no responsibility about it. And also, I Googled eco packaging illustrations, and there are like 33,000 illustrations, and some smaller companies who are not professionals, they're just, taking these things, they're using that, they're maybe buying packaging from the packaging supplier, which is, recyclable, but after that they're putting, extra stickers or using glues or using inks, and in the end maybe it's not recyclable anymore, but they do not know about it, and they're just using all those symbols which they created, or they just took it from the internet. As well, some more examples which will maybe not be tolerated. For example, there is writing that this bag is made from new and recycled materials, but they are not saying how much. So for example, if I use 2% of recycled materials, can I just put, this? The answer is no. In the future, you will need to specify that I'm using, 15 recycled % of materials, and the rest is, new thing. And as well, compostable mailers, they're just saying, hello, I'm compostable mailer, but if you turn it around, you cannot see any instructions. If I do not have possibility to compost it, what should I do? Should I put it to the generic waste bin, or should I put it to plastic? If I put it to plastic, is it contaminate plastic, or is it going to be recycled? There is no information. Then some options about the design. Maybe it's not going to be forbidden, but for example, in my opinion, that's the product for children. I mean, the granola and so on. And of course, it's a few layers. It's aluminum and it's plastic, and they just put craft paper on top. This is a super popular design solution, but it's also misleading people. And if the product is for children, they're misleading children how they can understand what's sustainable and what's not sustainable in the future if we are misleading them. And as well, with food containers, at the moment, there's also in many countries a lot of discussions, because we have new materials coming, we have compostable things coming, but in some cases they are not even better, they could be even worse in CO2 regards, and what to do if you cannot compose them, and so on. So just some tips how we can approach it as a brand or as a packaging designers is, you still want to brag. If you're doing something nice and you're using sustainable materials, we can brag about it, but allocate 1/4 to bragging and the rest of the space or your energy explaining what you do. So for example, you can say we're using recycled materials, and then put a QR code or make extra sentence to prove it, or to lead to your website talking about those things. And also use official markings and certificates. You can ask those things from your packaging suppliers, and because you don't need to invent new things. The same goes with icons and illustrations. So for example, if you have FSC, just use FSC from your official supplier, but because some companies are trying to create some new logos and trying to manipulate with those things, and this is not good. And then a holistic approach, and do not twist the facts. So also what companies are doing, for example, if they're having portfolio of 10 products, 10 packages, they make one packaging sustainable, and that's good. But then what they do on their website and on their social media, they only talk about that one packaging, and then consumers could think that their whole portfolio is sustainable. And that's, to brag about your good solution is not bad, but then you need somewhere on the website or in your reporting show that now we are develop this packaging, this is nice, this is sustainable, and the rest of our boxes, they're not that good. And in the future, this is our plan, how we're gonna change that. You need to talk about all of the things you have. As well, if the packaging is CO2 neutral, packaging is not CO2 neutral if you're only compensating. It's only CO2 compensated. That's really important thing because some products and packaging providers are trying to say that it's neutral, but it's not neutral. And also clearly distinguish when you're talking about packaging and the product. This is also really popular strategy when the product itself is kind of bad, but the brand wants to look better, and then they invest a lot of money into packaging, and it's sustainable packaging, and it's good, but then it's not clear for the end consumer whether the brand is talking about the packaging or the product, and then end consumers think that everything is sustainable, not only packaging. Okay, now we are moving to the second chapter, and second chapter is sustainability and user experience combined. And we're just gonna see a few case studies of different projects and how they approach them from different industries. So the first one is sustainability and quality and reusability. So in this case, what kind of problem they were solving? The problem is that with the home chemical products, you have just a few percentage of chemicals and the rest of it is water. And then somebody needs to produce packaging for that. Then you need to transport those bottles to the retail place. Then people are buying them, they're transporting them back home. And after they're using them, they need to put it into recycling bin, and it's also a lot of space and a lot of energy, and then you need to recycle them. So what they did, you have a reusable things in the beginning, as you can see on the photo on the left. And then after that, through the e-commerce, you only shipping those small packages. And so this is nice from sustainability perspective, but it also opens up a new business models because people are just subscribing, meaning that people are not going to the shop every time and looking to the competitors or maybe trying new products. So this is really good for business as well. Another really nice example of thinking outside of the box, where the coffee machine producers were fighting who is going to make more sustainable capsule. I mean, they were like having a few different layers, plastic, aluminum, then somebody made only from aluminum and said now we're recyclable. And this company just, you know, they just put some plant-based, water-based varnish from the outside. They just press it, and then you have no packaging. It's just that layer dissolves, and that's it. So when somebody's fighting to make something, for example, more recyclable, you can think also outside of the box if you have that power to make these kinds of innovations. And yeah, as previously, this is, let's say, big innovation before, and here we have a really small brand from Latvia. They made it 8 or 10 years ago, and after that, even like companies like Samsung and others made the same strategy. So what they did, in some cases you need to use a lot of packaging to protect your product, and you have no other option. And in this case, they designed packaging that way that packaging is a part of the product itself. So in this case, the product is small children's bicycle made from wood, and the box transforms into garage. And of course, maybe you won't use it for 2 years, right? But it's still really a nice thing for children to play. So this is another strategy. And also, example of when I see a lot of fighting between recyclability, reusability, and some people are saying reusable is the only option. Others are saying if you're using reusable things, you still need a lot of energy to clean it, to transport it, and so on. And as well, we have a problems about hygiene. So this solution is really nice because it connects the best from both worlds. So what you have first time buying, you have a wooden cap on the top, and you have on the bottom the container made from glass. And after you use it, you don't even need to bring the container with you, because that's another problem with reusable packaging, that people won't bring reusable packaging to the shop every time. So you only need to buy the paper part. And that's it. It's cheap, it's sustainable, even though it's not going to get recycled. I mean, it's a small part. And so they just connected these two things. And now we're going to go to the last chapter where we're going to try to connect all of the things. I'm going to show one project of mine, and as well, but in the beginning I would like to talk about perception of sustainability in different countries and areas. You don't need to look and read everything, but what this table shows from McKinsey 2020, how people understand sustainable packaging differently. So for example, in the United States, people think that paper-based packaging is the most sustainable thing, the glass bottles number 2, and so on and so on. We have France, the third from the left, and glass bottles, people from France think that glass bottles are the most sustainable thing. The second is plastic films made from renewable materials. And then number 3, we have as well plastic bottles that are fully recyclable. But so it's similar things in Europe. But for example, if you would go to Brazil, in Brazil, paper is a number 5. And so it's differently, maybe different cultures, different, you know, I mean, how we manage forest and different history. But what I mean by this, that if you are operating in different markets, you don't need to be hypocritical and like in France to suggest glass container, in United States paper packaging, and in Brazil plastic renewable packaging. What I mean by that you need to know what people think about different materials and invest time in your communication and packaging and show them what to do with that packaging. And if you know that your packaging is good and sustainable, you need to prove that to the people. And now I'm going to show you one project which is as well exhibited here in APDA booth. But I'm going to talk about, not about what we did. So I can talk shortly about what problems were with the plastic film inside, incorrect recycling, wrong labeling, as well people commenting that it's not recyclable, what should we do with it, and increasing taxes for paper plus plastic solutions. So this is the process of making this thing, and sustainability numbers, how much we saved sustainability-wise, how much we saved money-wise. But now I'm going to talk about sustainability education. So we have level 1, which is primary education on packaging, which only shows what is made from, FSC certificate, compostability certificate, and as well in the restaurants we have instructions what to put where. And if you scan that code, you go to the second level, which is detailed scheme. And on that scheme you can see everything from the beginning, where the material is coming from, who produced it, how much energy they're using, comparisons to different solutions, what to do, how to recycle it, where it's coming from, like logistically, where we are transporting it from. And then we have a third level, and the third level is proofs from our suppliers. And even if you want to question those documents, you have contacts and you have everything behind that. And then those companies who are claiming those things, for example, cardboard supplier claiming that this packaging is recycled already, if you want to question that, we have documents and we have people responsible behind that. So it's like open discussion for everybody to even copy the same solutions for other brands. So I invite you to visit the innovation arena. There is this project exhibited as well. And also tomorrow there in the APDA booth, Sofa Talks, I'm going to talk about consumer electronics packaging development. So thank you very much for your attention. Maybe if you have any questions, please ask. And also I'm going to be today and tomorrow at the APDA booth. So if you have any questions, you can just come there and ask them directly.
Thank you so much for your intervention. Have you got a question? No, no question. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to have you on the scene of All for Pack Emballage. Thank you. On
Thank-
peut l'applaudir.